Trump accuses BLS of scam, how the real jobs report works inside the BLS process. Warning: your perception of the U.S. job market might be skewed. A bombshell claim by President Donald Trump has sparked intense debate. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, allegedly orchestrated a scam to tarnish his presidency. But here's where it gets fascinating. Let's delve into the inner workings of the jobs report and uncover the truth. The accusation: rigged jobs numbers? President Trump, without providing evidence, asserted that the significant revisions to the latest jobs report were deliberately manipulated to make him and the Republicans look bad. This claim led to the dismissal of Dr. Erika McEntarfer, the commissioner of the BLS. Trump further incorrectly stated that McEntarfer was responsible for the biggest miscalculations in over 50 years. But were these revisions truly unprecedented or indicative of corruption? Demystifying the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Established in 1884, the BLS operates independently within the U.S. Department of Labor, overseen by the Labor Secretary, a cabinet member, and managed by a Senate-appointed commissioner. With over 2,000 employees, including professional economists and survey takers, the BLS collects and analyzes data on crucial economic indicators, such as prices, inflation, productivity, spending, pay, workplace injuries, employment, and unemployment. How jobs data is collected. A two-pronged approach. 1. Household survey. Survey takers engage in old-fashioned door-to-door inquiries, gathering employment status and demographic information from individuals across the country. 2. Current employment statistics, CES survey. Thousands of businesses and government agencies provide monthly employment, hours, and earnings data via telephone, internet surveys, or automated data transfers. Participation is voluntary, except in New Mexico, Oregon, South Carolina, and Puerto Rico, where state laws require businesses to submit data. From raw data to monthly report. The process. Data editing. Economists detect and correct processing and reporting errors, clarifying discrepancies with businesses as needed. Estimation and seasonal adjustments. BLS staff estimate national employment, hours worked, and earnings, incorporating educated guesswork based on seasonal hiring trends to smooth out data fluctuations. Statistical tests. Raw data and estimates are protected to prevent individual employer data access. The employment situation summary. What you need to know. Generated from 2 surveys. Household survey, demographic data and unemployment rate, and business survey, pay, hours worked, and job numbers. Monthly report, typically released on the first Friday, including revisions for the previous 2 months. Revisions. Initial jobs numbers are considered preliminary, with revisions occurring over the next 2 months, followed by preliminary and final annual revisions in August and February, respectively. Debunking the scam claim. Historical context. Revisions are common. The July report's revisions, although significant, were not unprecedented. Larger revisions occurred in 2020, 2021, and as far back as 2009. The 2024 revisions. Trump's claim of a record revision was incorrect. A larger revision occurred in 2009. The BLS data, a cornerstone of economic decision-making, relied upon by the Federal Reserve for monetary policy, businesses for investment and hiring decisions, and government organizations for economic planning. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell emphasized the importance of strong data for the entire economy, highlighting the U.S.'s 100-year leadership in accurate economic capture. Alternatives to BLS data, limited and less reliable. ADP's private payrolls report fails to capture government hiring and often diverges from BLS reports. Other surveys, while sometimes instructive, they lack the robustness and reliability of the BLS report. Challenges and the gold standard. Household survey volatility, due to smaller sample sizes and declining response rates. Business and Government Employment Survey, widely regarded by economists as the gold standard. Former Commissioner William Beach praised the BLS as the finest statistical agency in the world, expressing concern that Trump's attack could undermine long-term trust. Now it's your turn. Do you believe the BLS data is reliable, or do you think there's room for improvement? Should the independence of statistical agencies be a concern in the face of political pressure? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The Truth Under Siege. A week of disturbing events in politics. A dire 5-day assault on the truth. In the tumultuous era of Donald Trump, labeling events as the worst or the most aggressive is a precarious endeavor. Each scandal seems to pave the way for the next, making it challenging to pinpoint the pinnacle of audacity. However, the past 5 days have unequivocally been a harrowing time for truth, as it struggles to maintain its role as a bulwark against authoritarian governance. In a different era, each of these events would have dominated the headlines for months, if not years. Yet, in the relentless news cycle of the Trump presidency, they risk being overshadowed by subsequent controversies. Collectively, they represent a multifaceted attack on truth in journalism, statistics, and historical records. The Smithsonian National Museum of American History recently removed references to Trump's unprecedented 2 impeachments from an exhibit on presidential scandals. This deletion was reportedly part of a review to address supposed bias in Smithsonian museums. The exhibit now inaccurately states that only 3 presidents have seriously faced removal, omitting Trump, who came closer to Senate conviction than Bill Clinton. The Smithsonian claims the material about Trump's impeachments was temporary and will be restored in an upcoming update. But given the administration's pressure to align with the president's political priorities, this assurance seems uncertain. Vice President J.D. Vance, an ex officio member of the Smithsonian Board, has been instrumental in this push, claiming the institution has been influenced by a divisive, race-centered ideology. The White House even attempted to fire the head of the National Portrait Gallery, a move it likely lacked the authority to make. Meanwhile, the administration is trying to eliminate what it perceives as negative portrayals of American history from National Park Service sites, a move that borders on the absurd. Trump once criticized the removal of Confederate monuments, labeling it revisionist history. However, altering the Smithsonian's exhibits is a clear attempt to rewrite the official narrative, erasing the impeachments as if they were an inconvenient footnote. This is akin to the Soviet Union's purging of political enemies from historical records. The day after the Smithsonian controversy, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, CPB, announced its closure, a consequence of the administration's successful lobbying to defund it. This was a goal of Project 2025, which views PBS and NPR as biased, despite the lack of substantial evidence. While major city stations may survive, the end of CPB could leave remote areas without access to news and information. When Trump isn't obstructing information, he's attacking its credibility. After the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, released revised employment statistics that contradicted the administration's rosy economic picture, Trump fired the BLS commissioner, baselessly accusing him of bias. This move not only undermines government statistics, but also hinders policymakers' ability to address economic issues. History has shown that leaders who attack economic data often pay a price, a warning Trump might heed if he were a reader. The Senate's confirmation of Jeanine Pirro as the top prosecutor for the District of Columbia adds to the erosion of truth. Despite her past as a prosecutor and judge in New York State, her main qualification seems to be her tenure as a Fox News personality. Pirro was a vocal proponent of the false claim that the 2020 election was stolen, a stance that contributed to a successful defamation case against Fox. Her appointment raises concerns about her ability to distinguish fact from fiction, especially given that even Fox News executives questioned her credibility. As unqualified prosecutors are confirmed, the Trump White House is seeking retribution against Jack Smith, the career Justice Department attorney who led the now-aborted prosecutions against Trump. The Office of Special Counsel is investigating whether Smith violated the Hatch Act by charging Trump, despite the overt nature of the allegations against him. This investigation is unprecedented, as the OSC has never before probed a prosecutor's decision to bring charges. The charges against Trump were dropped after his 2024 election victory, further blurring the line between politics and justice. This series of events is indeed bleak, but truth, though suppressed, cannot be easily altered. Trump's attempts to manipulate the BLS won't change the underlying economic reality. Democrats learned during the Biden administration that accurate statistics can't convince voters to overlook economic hardships. False statistics would be even less effective. Trump's broad assault on truth may be relentless, but truth has a way of prevailing. Related, here are 3 news stories from The Atlantic. Today's news. 1. The Texas House voted to issue civil arrest warrants for Texas Democrats who fled the state to delay a vote on a Trump-backed redistricting map. 2. Steve Witkoff, President Donald Trump's special envoy for peace missions, is heading to Russia this week to secure a Ukraine ceasefire before a Friday deadline. 3. The European Union has paused planned retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods for 6 months amid ongoing trade talks with the Trump administration. Dispatches. The Wonder Reader. Isabel Fattal compiles stories about how mail carriers manage to do a job that keeps the country running. Explore all of our newsletters here. Evening Read. Grief Counseling with Kermit by Sophie Brickman. After a great loss, some people find solace in nature or spirituality. I, however, came to grieve with the Muppets. Read the full article. More from The Atlantic. Culture Break Watch. In 2022, Shirley Lee recommended 15 underseen TV shows that are worth your time. Have a laugh. The comedian Marc Maron's style remains confrontational and opinionated. But now his subjects have changed. Bikram Murthy writes, "Play our daily crossword." Rafaela Ginich contributed to this newsletter. When you buy a book using a link in this newsletter, we receive a commission. Thank you for supporting The Atlantic.